Welcome in everyone. Today we are here with another Way of the Hunter video, and I wanted to talk with you about a topic I touched on just a few weeks ago. That topic being DLC number 2. I've done some thinking on this topic pretty heavily these last few weeks, and there's one thing that I touched on in that video that really got me thinking more, was the species list we seen in Aurora Shores and how comparable it was to the Nez Perce Valley. Now, I did mention the new map is going to be very similar to Transylvania, and I got thinking harder on it, and Africa is just not that similar. So I took a step back and I looked at the world map, and I've seen there's 2 North America maps already. Now, where would I go if I was a developer 2 years ago looking at this game? What map would I want to come out with that could make me stand apart from all the rest? There was some chatter in the Call of the Wild community about an Australia map, so it's very possible the developers for Way of the Hunter picked up on that and went that way. Now, I don't want to induce any unneeded drama, but it does seem like Call of the Wild has been taking note of what Way of the Hunter has been doing here lately, and with this new map, it makes me think that something is amiss. So I do want to go ahead and recant my statement in the Africa video saying it's going to be Africa. I feel like that I am just not correct in that statement, and that I think that Australia is going to be more so the path that we're headed. It really just makes sense with the species list, and then with the news out lately, it really feels like there's something going on between these two companies. And I really wouldn't be surprised if Call of the Wild caught wind of what Way of the Hunter was going to do for their last DLC and went ahead and pushed it out before they could. Now again, this is all speculation, and I don't want to seem like a drama queen, but it is totally possible that this is what they did considering the moves that are happening right now. So I do think we are headed to Australia this time, and I wanted to just quickly go over just a species list that I think we could see. I think it's going to be something like a water buffalo. Obviously the red deer, the fallow deer, you know, some type of wild hog, a wild goat, maybe some type of wild dog. I don't know if dingoes are going to make it because I heard that they're, you know, on the list of protected animals. Then something like a pheasant, obviously, fox, rabbits, wild duck, probably just another type of duck, and then goose, of course. And there's probably going to be a few others in here, but I do want to touch on, I don't think it's going to be a kangaroo. I want to go ahead and stick to the ethical hunting once again, and I just don't think that's going to be Way of the Hunter route. So with that out of the way, I do want to go ahead and get into some of the juicier details, that being the gears and equipment list I think we're going to be seeing coming up in this new DLC. So the first thing I want to touch on is going to be the new binos. It has been said that we're going to get a new pair of binos and finally get to fill that 3rd slot. So I am suspecting this new bino is actually going to be a pair of night vision binoculars, and that would really help open up what is playable on these maps, because once 10 o'clock hits, it is so dark on some of these maps, they're unplayable. And having a night vision binocular would really open up what is playable as far as time frame on this game. And I gotta say, it would kind of be useless to give us a pair of night vision binoculars if you don't give us a night vision scope. So I do want to throw that on the list as well, just because how are we going to be able to take those shots in the dark? You just toss it up and guess. I don't think that's going to be very viable. So it's my thinking that these 2 items are highly probable for DLC number 2, and I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see more scopes and more binoculars as well, maybe even with a larger objective like a 50mm. And just with those 2 items alone, the map and the night vision ability, I think that's a huge DLC as it is. But I do feel like there's even more to come out, making this thing just massive. So if I were to further speculate, I'd also really like to see a set of pistols in here. Give me a 9mm and a 45 ACP. Those are just the most basic common pistol rounds, and you know, make it something like a 1911. We get like Grandpa's old 1911 for the 45 ACP. And then I did a quick Google for the Steyr pistols, and I actually seen a Steyr L9A2, and you know, just make that the 9mm, and that would be perfect. Give us 2 nice pistols that'll kind of round out the firearms. But then I also think that now is the perfect time, if we're going to introduce an Australia map, let's introduce that bow. I mean, I wanted it for Africa, but I really feel like a recurve or a compound bow is needed in this next DLC, and with the crossbow having fairly well figured out the flight path or whatever projectile they're using, I feel like it's time. I feel like this would be a perfect time to release a bow. It would be awesome to see some black powder rifles in here. I just don't think that that's going to make it in this one, and it leaves content for future DLCs and weapon packs, so let's just hang on to that idea for a while longer. And as I was watching the Discord, I've seen many people asking for tree stands, and I wanted to touch on one mechanic that I think is not going to really allow that to happen, and it's just some of those trees actually do move, and it's going to be very hard to solidify the tree stand with the rest of the environment and how everything moves around. But one thing that I was thinking on that is totally possible is something like a tripod or a blind, because those things are permanent objects and they can be much like your car where you just hop in and then it reduces like sway, you know, your visibility and then even your scent, and it's just a permanent thing you just place out for a marker, right? So while I couldn't see tree stands per se because of that mechanic, I do think it is totally possible to see tripods and blinds. Just because when you place that out, it only takes up a certain amount of squares, and you can actually see that in some of the feed zones. You can see a giant square if you're looking just right, and I think that that is the big thing, is like, how do you design a blind or a tripod to fit within that mechanic in an open area where you can place it so that way you have a better hunting experience and not have to just stick to these stands that they've, you know, already made out. If this is a mechanic though, please just give us more than one. I would say probably like 3 or 4. I mean, as a like land management officer per se, we should have a lot of equipment at our disposal for these types of missions. So just go ahead and hook us up with a few extra. I'll pay. I will gladly pay for a few extra. Sticking along that same line of reduced visibility and just added mechanics, it would be really cool to see some type of camo make it in here, some customization. Just give us an extra little gear slot and, you know, like some camo pants, a camo jacket, just to add a little bit of visibility reduction. I wouldn't hold my breath for that one, but that would be pretty awesome to see in here. Moving on though, and this is more of a personal one, but I would really like to see some more fur types, maybe like a piebald, and just one more, just that kind of stands out. I'm not sure what it would be, but give us something like, I'm not saying like a great one exactly, but like the furs of those. Give us something that's a little bit special to go after. And I just love the piebald coats, and if they could make them randomized, that would be amazing. I mean, of course, we can only take our dreams so far though, right? Because I would really like to see some, like, you know, special animals in here. I think that having more of the missions like Hollywood and the aggressive bear are important for this series. I don't know that it can really stand up on the same style of hunt every single time, because people are kind of worried about what the trophy room looks like as it is. I mean, having more variety is not a bad thing, and I feel like it will bring in more hunters to the community. Just give us a couple special missions, you know, throw in some more missions for Nez and Transylvania and Aurora Shores, and give us some more of those special animals as well. So this last thing that I've been thinking, I haven't heard too much about. I hear some grumblings here and there of people really wanting this idea, but really I don't hear it all that much, and maybe it's too niche for it to be that popular, but it's a stat sheet. I would really like to see some type of stat sheet where we can see our 3 top weapons, all the money we've ever earned, you know, like our top species hunted, and then even our hunter rating, like our overall hunter rating, how well we've been hunting as a hunter. Because I'm one of those that really likes to line up for the perfect shot, the perfect caliber, and pretty much have a perfect hunter rating every time. There has been a few instances where I've used a larger caliber on something where I've just been like, alright, I'm just gonna cull this out of here, I don't even care. So I will have like a 1 star or something for that. But I want to see where I'm at. Am I a 4 or 5 star hunter, you know what I mean? And I do see how that is really niche for only a certain, you know, player group, but I think that it would be pretty cool to see in here. Overall, I feel like this DLC is going to be massive, and it's going to bring a lot of content to the core Way of the Hunter group, and a lot of things that they've been asking for, so I think it's going to be really in their favor. Being able to deliver on at least half of what I just said would broaden that player base so much, like I always preach, that it just induce a lot of players into this game. Although I do worry with that latest DLC from Call of the Wild, we could see a little bit of competition with this next release. But that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate you sticking it out with me. I hope you enjoyed the hunt, and if you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the channel for more. And as always, have a good day.